Hello everybody, welcome to the show. Today we're going to be looking at, well, number one, we're going to Camden because Chloe forgot her bloody camera.
I got it now.
Since we're in Camden, we thought, you guys have been asking how to shoot handheld, so we thought we're going to film a bit of Camden, show you around what it looks like, and obviously give you some tips on how to shoot handheld. Are you ready? Let's go. Alright everybody, to shoot handheld, the first thing that I personally do is when I don't have much gear with me, but I'll always have my camera strap. So the first thing you do with your camera strap is have it around your neck, make it nice and tight, lock your elbows in and push it out. You're basically going to be a human gimbal. So now that you've got the hang of that, next thing to do is to use your core to make a panning shot. As you can see, as I move my body rather than my arms, everything looks nice and smooth. I'm going to film the backdrop behind me just to kind of give you an idea of what it looks like with the strap and without the strap. This is what happens. If you find that this is kind of difficult, holding it steady, locking your elbows in, I would highly advise using the environment. So in the restaurant shots that I shot earlier, I sometimes just had the camera on the table and kind of moved it around, or Chloe might just like lean against the rail, kind of use that to kind of help her to move slowly and steadily. And this is what it looks like. So now that we've got our handheld technique down, it's time to walk and shoot handheld at the same time. This is something which I don't really do unless it's necessary. I don't like doing it. It doesn't work all the time, but if you need to do it, lock yourself in, and we're going to use the ninja walk to get it done. So the next tip I want to talk about is tip number 5, and that's to use a wide-angle lens. Here on the X-T2, we have a 16mm, which in full frame equivalence is a 24mm. Now, the reason why I like it is because unlike a telephoto, there's less margin of error. When things are wider, if there's a bit of a shake, it's not as obvious, it's not as prominent. When things are narrow, a slight little jitter makes everything bump up and down. So I'd highly recommend using a wide-angle lens. If you want to learn more about wide-angle lenses, I highly recommend looking at the 16mm 2.8 by Fuji, link up above about that particular lens. Next tip can really help you if you're struggling still. So warp stabilizer, which is found on Premiere Pro. I know Final Cut Pro have stabilizer. These things can really help save your footage. They need to be short with simple subject matter because the way the stabilizer in software works, it uses a 5-axis gimbal to try and recalibrate and restructure the footage. Be careful, if it's too complicated or there's too much movement in different angles, it will turn into jelly. You do not want jelly. Next tip would be to shoot in a really high frame rate. So one of them, I think the most accessible one would be 60 frames per second. If your camera can shoot in 120 frames per second, that would be really useful for you. The reason why is, well, simply you can slow it down in post and you might just get that nice 2-3 seconds of beautiful, buttery, smooth motion, which looks more intentional rather than a mistake. All the footage that you see in this video, the Camden shots, Chloe filming me out on the streets, is all handheld. I've been shooting handheld for years now, and the reason why is because when I started filmmaking a couple of years ago, I couldn't afford gimbals and stabilizers or cameras with in-body stabilization and all that stuff. However, it opened me up to being really run and gun. It forced me to be creative and just to really try new things, be light, be nimble, and really just make the most of what I had, and you can make the most of what you have too. So we've reached the end of this video. If you like the tips and tricks and if you like me being weird on camera, consider subscribing. And I will see you in the next video. Ciao for now.